Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Educational Services webinar. This is our final curriculum webinar of the year, so we're excited to have you joining us here today. We do have below 4 questions. You can submit them online via the chat button. So thank you for joining us. We have a fantastic team here with us today. From our elementary, we have the principal from Soleado, Ms. Layback, and the principal from Mara Catalina, Dr. Hernandez. We have River Faye joining us as well, Michelle Marcus, Stacy Dunn, Amy Ferreira, and Shannon Bogart. So thank you all for their help.
And from the intermediate, we have Pam Bucklew, Katie Reeder, Jessica Tall, and from our high school, we have Leah Lewis and Sandy Sedella. So thank you all for joining us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. As I was introduced, my name is Dr. Annie Hernandez, and I'm the very proud principal of Mara Catalina. We do have some of our sitting with me today. I have Ms. Ferreira, who is one of our outstanding kindergarten teachers. So we're sharing our office today. But we will be presenting a variety of our board approved curriculum. In TK, we do have the handwriting without tears. And we also have adopted Wonders and back in 2017 and have continued to work with the Wonders program for our students, and it has proven very successful.
So the National Reading Panel identified 5 key concepts for at the core of effective reading, and as you can see, they're labeled down there, and I'll just go through them really quickly. Phonemic awareness is the ability to hear and identify the sounds and the placement of those sounds. Phonics is matching those sounds to letters or groups of letters. Fluency is the ability to read accurately and quickly. Vocabulary is sort of the key to a lot of it, is unlocking and understanding what words mean. And it's the key to comprehension and the interest in reading. And then comprehension happens when words become ideas. And as a kindergarten teacher, I just know how important these pillars are and building upon them. But what's even more important is instilling the love of reading at a young age, and the access to books and library time and setting aside time and exposing kids to all kinds of literature and exciting stories. All of those things play a huge part in developing the connection between pleasure and reading, which is crucial. So when the early learners love books and when they love the wonder of books, all of these pillars will come naturally, and when they do, it's magical. So that's it.
Thank you.
Oh, I am. Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Shannon Bogart. Sorry, I'm a little late. I am going to talk to the Reading to Learn from 3rd to 5th grade with the Wonders program. Well, we use a few different things, but in Wonders, it covers all of the things on the slide fairly thoroughly. They use a nice overarching, like, essential question that then drives and connects to all of the stories. There's usually a shorter story and then another longer story in the anthology where the kids learn a routine where they read literature and complex text, and then in a whole group setting, and then they break it down, and in smaller groups, we then dive a little bit deeper into the different reading skills depending on the unit. They move on to like a reread of the text, and then they start to learn how to identify like main idea and pull out like text evidence and things like that that they need as they move on in school. Let's see, we also have the grammar and vocabulary. Vocabulary piece is really important, especially as they get older. So we really have a nice piece for that. They have vocabulary cards. There's in class, in workbook practice, but also online through the app, the Macmillan app, which you might see on your child's portal. It's really an integral part from 3rd to 5th. Also, the weekly lesson block takes them from just basically understanding what they're reading all the way to like then applying those reading skills. So we end with usually some kind of DOK4 activity or depth of knowledge activity. So the kids are really analyzing and applying what they learn. Let's see, also, the other good thing about Wonders is the differentiation. So there's all sorts of opportunities within the text and in small group for differentiation. That's for reteaching for some kids, but it's also enrichment for others that might be rereading above grade level. There's a lot of enrichment activities, and there's actually some small readers that we use as well for those small groups. We also do some writing within Wonders. So their theme is if they read about it, they should write about it. So it starts off with just really quick writes. Then we usually have some kind of a response to the literature. And then where they might even compare the texts. Like at this point in the year, they're comparing texts, they're noticing what's alike and what's different. They're also being taught how to pull text evidence from what they read to support their answer. And then that takes us kind of to writing. In writing, we also use the Wonders for like longer projects. So they also do like maybe multi-week projects where they're writing or researching, things like that. Then we also use the writing instruction through the writer's workshop format that we've been learning, and that takes them through all the areas in third grade. It takes them through narrative and opinion and informational. So the writing is also supported through that. The speaking and listening comes through collaborative conversations. Almost every day the kids are turning and talking about what they've read or how they feel, or learning how to interview, things like that are really important for especially in third grade through fifth as they move on to middle and high school. And then presenting, they have different components within Wonders for presentations, but like I said, those longer research projects usually end in some kind of a presentation. It can be an electronic form of presentation or just even sharing in small groups. I think that maybe I hit everything, hopefully.
And here I am. Okay. Sorry about that. Haven't been on Zoom in a while. Hi, I'm River Faye. I'm a reading specialist in the district. I'm one of 5 full-time teachers who teaches reading intervention at the elementary schools. And so we wanted to talk about diagnostic assessments and how we support students with RTI. So parents are probably familiar with the iReady assessments that K-5 students take. They take it 3 times per year. They take that in their own classroom with their teachers. There's an assessment for reading and an assessment for math. The reading diagnostic assessment is, and math as well, they're both adaptive tests. So they give them harder or easier questions depending on how they're doing. And then I'm going to talk more about the reading diagnostic. It gives us grade level scores in the following areas: phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, and comprehension, which is broken up into literature and informational texts. It also tells us a percentile score for each student so that we can compare them based on national norms to other students. The K-3 reading diagnostic test also has a dyslexia screening component, which we've been using this year. Based on a student's scores, it may flag a student just to say that they may be at risk for dyslexia. And if a student is flagged, then the reading teacher at their school will do an in-person screening, and it measures pre-literacy or literacy skills depending on their grade level. And then based on the results of that assessment, that student may qualify for RTI. And of course, we would notify parents as well. So to speak about RTI, usually students whose iReady scores in reading are 2 or more grade levels below, those are the kids that we're looking at that may qualify for RTI. But we also look at teacher recommendations and other assessments. These students and others who may be recommended by their teachers, we assess them. That would be me or the other reading teachers. We use a Fountas and Pinnell benchmark assessment system, which are reading records. So the kids read a story to us. We ask them questions about the story, and that way we're able to assess their reading accuracy, their fluency, and their comprehension. And then that gives us a reading level. So if they're reading below a certain level and it's dependent on their grade level and the time of the year, that may qualify for them for RTI. And then we do some other assessments as well. We do an assessment called the PAST test for phonemic awareness. We use the phonics inventory from our Wonders program. And this year we started giving a spelling inventory from Words Their Way. Students who have academic IEPs are not supported by RTI, but they're supported through their IEP team. And so they have a more individualized program. English learners who are level 1 learners, they are at first supported by the EL teachers or aides to help develop their English proficiency, because we can't say for sure whether a student at a certain language level has a reading difficulty. So then later on, when they acquire more language skills, then we can look and decide if they also might need RTI. So basically how it works is after kids take the fall diagnostic test on iReady, the reading intervention teachers at each school meet with the classroom teachers to discuss the scores and determine who might qualify for RTI. And that would be for 1st through 5th grade in the fall. And then we meet again after the winter diagnostic. We discuss who might be ready to exit from RTI and who might need to join the program. And we start working with kindergarten students in RTI in the winter time, because we want to give them the beginning of the year to just work with their teachers. So if a student qualifies for RTI, what does that look like? We meet, it's a pull-out program. So we meet with small groups. In K2, it's usually up to only 4 students in a group and up to 6 students in a group for grades 3 through 5. We meet twice a week for 30 minutes with the younger kids, K2. We may meet for 45 minutes with grades 3 through 5, schedules permitting. Students are grouped by their reading levels. So like, for instance, right now I have, at each of my schools, I have like 3 first grade groups, and they're all working at different levels. Sometimes I even combine kids from different grade levels who may be at the same reading level. All of our reading intervention teachers, as I said, are full-time credentialed teachers. Many of us also have advanced degrees or certifications in our field. The programs that we use in RTI across the district, we're all using the same programs. We use the Heggerty program for phonemic awareness. We started this year with the Orton Gillingham program for phonics and spelling practice. And then we've been using the Fountas and Pinnell Level Literacy Intervention, or LLI, and that's for teaching reading fluency and comprehension. All of our lessons are fast-paced and multisensory, which has been proven, the multisensory component has been proven to really help kids who have reading dyslexia or other reading difficulties. So there's a lot of hands-on practice. It's kinesthetic, it's auditory, it's visual, and so that we're kind of hitting all the modules that we can. In the LLI program, we read real books. It's about a 50-50 balance of fiction and nonfiction. And then we also use some decodable readers from the Orton Gillingham program to reinforce the phonics rules that the kids are learning each week. Assessments are built into the program for the LLI stories so that we can give kids a reading record and we can decide when they're ready to move up to the next level. And we do a whole battery of one-on-one assessments with our RTI students 3 times per year to see whether they're ready to exit RTI and also to reorganize our groups. Sometimes kids move up or down in their groups. Parents are communicated with when a student enters RTI. We send home a letter and a permission slip. We also let them know, of course, when their child may be ready to exit RTI. And we also send home progress reports 3 times per year at the same time that you get your child's report card. So that's about it.
And I'm Pam Bucklew, language arts teacher at Miralest Intermediate School and the language arts chair. Let's see. So Study Sync, Study Sync Study Sync is what we use, where the district has provided and given us to teach reading, writing at the intermediate level. And we have the workbooks, and we also have digital and a huge resource in the digital component for Study Sync. Teachers can reasonably teach 3 of the 4 units that are provided, and we teach one or try to cover what is available in one per trimester. We also at one point, teachers agreed at grade levels which they wanted to teach, which units of Study Sync. Let's see, it includes Study Sync provides excerpts from, as the slide says, excerpts from and complete short works, fiction and nonfiction. They are standard-based lessons and skills. I think what I appreciate about Study Sync, I am, after having taught for a while, I really like how we have computers available. So teachers have access to Chromebook. Every student has access to a Chromebook. And so we're able to use what's available through Study Sync in the classroom, which is great. And let's see, in terms of, the other thing I wanted to point out first, what I appreciate about Study Sync is they have research links attached to what Study Sync refers to as blasts, and those are short articles, usually nonfiction articles that students read, and then they're supposed to respond similar to some of the social media where you just have so many words available. And so it's short and quick, and they can give a response to a question. They can see what their peers write. And what I like about it, especially, is they have research links. And so often they're very engaging and interesting, and the kids like those. And I find they connect with what the students are studying. So appreciate that. The core novels, we have agreed at each grade level across the district to teach at least two of the approved core novels approved by the board. And let's see, yes, and they are part of the adopted curriculum, the Study Sync curriculum often, and the supplemental texts are additional. So if a teacher wants to teach more than the 2 novels a year, they have a list of novels to select from, and they communicate what kids will be reading through their site. They have that agenda, the planner, as I understand, that's there, and then teachers will also inform parents. iReady Diagnostics, we also assess kids reading 3 times a year. It is at the start of every trimester. Promptly we do that, and it gives I think useful feedback. It takes around 3 days, approximately 3 days of instruction. We spend that time assessing them instead of using it for instruction. So it takes about three days each time we assess them. And then finally, we offer language arts 6th, 7th, 8th, and an accelerated 8th grade level class. And the way kids are selected for the accelerated program is through recommendations during the spring of their seventh grade year. And they also, parents are given the option to waive their student into the 8th grade accelerated class. Is this the slide you need someone to speak to?
Yes, this was for Katie and Pam. Or Katie, go ahead.
I can speak. I wasn't planning on it, but I can talk to this. It's Katie. Is this yours?
No, it's not my slide, but I can speak to it as well if you need me to. So
Go ahead.
I can do it. It's okay. I'm Katie Reeder. I teach 6th grade language arts at Mirror Est. Skills and content focused in 6th through 8th grade at the middle school level. We're really hitting writing hard this year with standards aligned common writing prompts. This year, I'm a member of the writing committee, and we've developed common rubrics across the district for narrative in fall trimester, explanatory in or informational in second trimester, excuse me. And then currently we're working on argumentative prompts. They're standard aligned common rubrics, which is something new this year. So we're all choosing to use the same rubrics, even though teachers have options within those rubrics for the types of prompts they'd like to present to their classes. So it's nice because we can tailor the writing that we're doing in our classes. We do multiple types of writing assessments through each trimester. It could be something that is a long process, like a structured essay. It could be an on-demand or in-class essay. It could be research, short response, short answer, but we do try to get the students writing as much as possible because writing takes lots of practice, and practice makes better. With reading, we, as Mrs. Bucklew just said, we use district approved core novels. Most grade levels go to read about 3 novels a year. And across the district, we have chosen for each grade level to read in 6th grade 2 common books, and then there's 1 choice book at the middle school level each year. And those are posted with the school on each school's website. Informational texts and fictional texts are also incorporated with the selection of books that we read. Speaking, we always have presentation opportunities, debates, speeches, multiple times for students to be able to share their voices in class. And then for listening, we do offer a lot of different kinds of activities, things like peer response, discussion, Socratic seminar, and podcasts teachers are experimenting with as well. And this next slide is mine as well. So I have been lucky enough to participate. I think this is my 5th year as a collaborative teacher in language arts. And the word collab for short for collaborative is when you have a special education teacher and a general education teacher working to co-teach a language arts class. It's a pretty special dynamic because you have both teachers there giving the students their full attention. And you're able to kind of tag team and provide students with general ed needs and students with IEP specialized attention. It's standards-based instruction that is the same as any non-collaborative class, but the benefit is that for students who need a little bit of extra one-on-one help, the special ed teacher is there to give it to them. And if those students have support classes later in the day, that special ed teacher has been in the language arts class and knows the content that was being taught, so they can then fill in any gaps that those students might have later. And it's just a special way to have 2 adults in the room at the same time and give more structured and specialized attention. And yeah, as I mentioned, there's also reteaching opportunities. So that's the CoLab model.
I think this is my slide, Alice. So I am the assistant principal at Ridgecrest Intermediate, and we offer a variety of supports for students who are struggling in reading or any kind of writing or anything in ELA really. So we have ELD class, we have teachers that specialize in English language learners, and they have a smaller class. Usually the classes are 12 to 20 students, so it's a little bit smaller, where students have specialized instruction in acquiring English language, which is not in place of their regular English language class. They still have their regular English language arts class, and they have ELD in addition to support their needs. This year, we have air tutors for English language arts and math. This is a free service that the district offers to students who are struggling. And it's a 1 hour online tutor one-on-one, and the student and their family sets up the date and the time for those sessions. Students have found it to be very helpful. They can use the air tutor to prepare for a test, to help them edit an essay that they're writing, or one of the writing projects that the other teachers spoke about. They can use it to prepare for a quiz, study vocabulary, whatever they're struggling with. The air tutor is very flexible and can help them with that. We also have it for math as well. And then we have reading intervention programs where we have reading specialists that meet with students in small group settings, either pulling them out or after school to go over reading fundamentals and essentials, to have students, and this is only for students who are 2 or more grade levels below, who need to catch up and get on grade level with their reading skills and comprehension skills.
Hi, I'm Sandy Sedella. I'm going to start us up tonight talking about our high school program. You're going to hear quite a few things that are repeated from what the middle school said, which is wonderful because scaffolding is really important to our students. Obviously, we build upon those skills and begin to amplify, as our goal is to head students toward colleges, universities, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year, or whatever their experience is after 12th grade. So when it comes to high school, there's a number of places and ways that we gather the curriculum that we're going to teach. Obviously, that's standards based. When we are looking at the same sort of skills, we focus a great deal on writing. Obviously, we had that webinar in the fall, and the writing at the high school is going to be a lot more sophisticated in that we're now starting to draw in research in particular. For these students, you know, they're considering looking at engineering and things like, even if it's creative writing, even if it's looking into the sciences, whatever it is, we are giving them the task of having sources of, whether it's case studies, you know, published pieces that are building arguments, bringing substance to what they're saying in their writing, and developing their own voices. So it's a colossal task over the 4 years, but students are scaffolded throughout the years so that they know the skills and can grow toward what colleges will expect. So we obviously base our work in the classroom on the standards, whether it is writing, whether it's skills in reading, which connects to the writing, whether it's grammar, vocabulary, and we do a great deal of presenting at the high school, just like you heard the middle school say. You'll see a lot of debates, whether it's in groups, whether it's solo. Sometimes it's, you know, impromptu in class and discussions that we have. You know, sometimes it's planned over weeks and research, and it's a formal presentation. The students learn to take a stance and defend their findings, their theories, and use research plus their knowledge and their maturity to back that up. Beyond just the standards, we are looking at a couple other factors that help us form what we're teaching in the classroom and what we're bringing to students. The California Department of the English Literary Standards, California Department of Education, I apologize, literary standards are a place where we go to decide titles, how we pick titles. They have wonderful guides for English teachers on, you know, what is the best title, what guides you in the titles you choose. They have a very large approved list of titles to use in the classroom, and we refer to that frequently when we are considering literature. We also look at AP standards and expectations, obviously for our AP students, but not always. Even if students aren't in AP, we're looking toward those standards for, as students grow through the programs, you know, how can we modify to work them toward that, or just even see those amazing skills and, you know, maybe tweak them a little bit for classes that aren't quite AP. And then another place where we've been really diving into the past year and throughout the years are college resources. If we are sending our students to college, whether it's community college or a 4-year university, are we gathering syllabi from colleges? Are we looking at websites, writing programs, and what they're actually being assigned in college? and scaffolding past 12th grade toward that. So we use those influences to help us form our foundations. It's the essay writing, whether it's argumentative, whether it's expository, whether it is creative writing at time, exploring narrative, especially as they head toward those college essays, presentations, looking at literary analysis. They move on just instead of always just deciding, well, the theme is this or symbolism's that. They become literary critics by junior, senior year and trying to understand why authors are doing what they're doing, why they choose the diction they choose. How does that further a purpose and reach particular audiences? And it helps them better understand humans. We talk about that a lot in our classes, humanity. We do bring in supplemental text as well. And as some of our teachers mentioned, especially our middle school teachers, we utilize these very resources to decide what supplemental texts are truly best for our students. You know, the CDE literary standards are excellent for that. The AP standards are clear on that. Looking at what's been approved on our core novel lists. So that helps guide us. A lot of it, as I've already mentioned, is not only college preparatory, but career as well. We do keep that in mind as we help our students grow and develop skills. Sometimes it is a great deal of English deals with working in groups, discussing in pairs. They mentioned the listening skill all the way down to elementary school. I mean, that's a huge skill for everyone. And we work on those skills that go beyond just college. We do measurement as far as data. We look into Otis. That is where we're keeping our common assessment from our writing program we've been working on this year. And we talked about that again in the fall's webinar. But Otis is where we're keeping track of the data across our classrooms for the common assessment. And then we also have, if you're teaching AP, my AP Classroom, as well as some schools use Turnitin, some use Google Classroom. We have different places where we can gather results for students, give them feedback beyond obviously a lot of feedback in the classroom. And Leah, I know Leah's our department chair at PD High. She's gonna talk a little bit about those actual classes. There's a lot of choices you get at high school.
Thank you, Sandy. In regards to high school, students are expected to do quite a bit, but within the English classroom, they analyze, they evaluate, they address multiple authors, sources, motivations, representations, perspectives, themes, ideas, interpretations. I mean, the list goes on as they not only write, but read, speak, and listen. As my fellow colleague at Merrill S, Ms. Reeder, mentioned this slide that she addressed for 6 through 8, writing with aligned common writing prompts. This year, we got together as a 9 through 12 group of his colleagues, and we created common writing prompts in those 2 areas. And most importantly, looking at specific standards and aligning those rubrics across, 9 through 12 and looking at specific domains. Also, as far as with multiple types of writing assignments throughout the semester, we just don't have essays, which is important to know. We have on demand, we might have gyms, it might be journals, it might be, a research paper, it could be a short response. We have lots of things that we do within the writing, and most importantly, pre-writing when it comes to essays. With reading, we have district approved core novel lists, which we can get through our course handbook for both of the high schools, which is also posted on our school website, as well as the PVPUSD website. But as Ms. Sedella has mentioned, and our other colleagues on this webinar have stated, that we also bring in other informational texts, fictional and nonfiction, to address the CDE as far as with the Common Core state standards. Speaking, we have our students present, whether it's, based upon on demand, maybe it might be an impromptu, when they get to 11th and 12th grade, maybe on issues that we've been talking about, whether, they're debating on a topic, maybe based upon their argumentative essay, perhaps that they just wrote on. But we look at all of those things within our classroom, and as far as with developing the speaking standards of the Common Core state standards. When it comes to listening with peer response, I want to go back to this one because peer response, we first, for example, with my students with writing, They, of course, are doing pre-writing and editing. And when they go then into their small groups, then they are talking about what they just did, on that person's draft, as far as with making changes or providing, relative and timely feedback. So they're giving, response and creative and on-demand writing feedback right then. Socratic seminars, we have podcasts to address our listening needs of our Common Core state standards as well. In regards to our next slide, we have our course offerings. We have multiple pathways for our students. So when our students come from intermediate school, our high school counselors will meet with our, incoming 8th graders and sit down and kind of figure out the map of where they're going to begin their 9th grade journey. So, no need to worry as an intermediate school parent going, where's my kid going to go? But really the best, course of action is to get that feedback from that current English teacher at 8th grade, because they can see where that student is going to perform most likely the best. But as far as with, if say, for example, they want to take English 1, and honors, and, they're, maybe struggling, we can always relook at that during the school year, have those important conversations, because most importantly, we want to address the wellness of our students and to not overwhelm them. So if, traditionally, if you're going to take English 1, you're doing well, then you would go to English 2, English 3, and then English 4 and so forth. But, another alternative path, you could be on the honors or the block path. And if you were on that honors or block path, then you eventually for grades 11 and 12 be taking the AP composition and then the AP literature and composition course. So I'm going to hand it back over to Sandy to address our supports and our electives at our high school within our English department.
Thank you, Leah. Within our classes Leah was just speaking about, there's also some other layers that students can qualify for, or, and there's movement within the years. One of our programs is our ELD program, and that's for our English learners. There's 2 different levels of that. And we have a sheltered immersion course where students are particularly in a classroom with a teacher who is working on not just their language arts program, but also other programs as well. And then we have an integrated ELD for students who have moved beyond that sort of submerged sheltered course, where they're in, English 1, sort of the mainstream course, but they are still getting support. And what the goal is to move students into that mainstream course so that they can be with their peers, start to develop those skills. And again, we're supporting them along the way. Middle school also spoke of the collab program. We have that here at the high school as well. And it's a wonderful program for students who need extra support and need extra help. And collab is a class at the regular level where students are also coupled up with a particular teacher that works as a one-on-one in some cases, and also an aid to them. We also have our program, which is reading writing skills. And the reading writing skills program is for students with an IEP that are taking a track that will not be to a 4-year university. Perhaps maybe it's a community college track, but their classroom does still cover the standards. It does still cover some of the curriculum of the grade level, but they are moving at a different pace for their particular needs. So we definitely have, we have the challenging classes of APs and honors and of that sort. We have other programs that make sure we're supporting our students who need it. As far as electives, the language arts program, there's kind of a big umbrella where there's a lot of different choices. These classes do not take the place of an English course. I do want to make that clear. Students are required by the state of California to complete 4 years of English, 1, 2, 3, and 4, whether it's AP Lit, AP Language, but they do. But they're welcome to take one of these amazing electives. And you can see those write-ups in any of our course descriptions. I think they talk about them in a great way, but you can tell forensics and speech and debate. These are 2-semester courses. They last throughout the year, and students take them for elective credit. They are recognized by the UC and CSU systems, which means colleges will see them as an elective for credit. And journalism is also a very strong program on both of our campuses. You can take that all 4 years, also an elective credit. We have many different publications that our students are involved in, from yearbook to our literary publications. which have won many awards for both campuses. Students love being in those programs. And we have yearbook, as you can see at the bottom, on both campuses. So it's great if students enjoy writing. They want to do something that's a little maybe more creative or another element that in the classroom we might do a little bit of, but we have so many other skills to focus on. We can't quite narrow into journalism. We can't quite narrow into literary publication in that sort of depth. These electives are wonderful for that student. And that gives you an idea of some of the extra programs and support that we have at the high school level.
So thank you everyone for attending. We have, I thought I saw a question, but thank you everyone. This is actually the last webinar that we're having for the district. I think we covered every single content area and discipline that we have K-12. So we appreciate all those who have continued to show up. Thank you to our teachers and our administrators. And we hope you all feel very proud about the wonderful work that is happening at Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, a great rest of your April and May, and we're heading towards the end of the year. So thank you all so much. Have a great evening. Bye.